Hi, my name is Nikki Renoir, demonstration artist and trainer for Inception, and today I want to take a look at how to create story templates. Story templates are a great tool for newsrooms and universities, especially for producers who want to quickly insert a kind of story into a running order without starting from scratch. One important thing to note here, you're going to need to be running Inception version 9.1 or later in order to have this feature of creating story templates. So the first thing you want to do is navigate to the story browser at the top of our navigation pane. When that window loads, you'll be seeing at the top right corner two buttons. One says Stories, the other one says Templates. When you select templates, you may see a blank grid where no story templates have been created. I see a couple of story templates that are already in existence. So, for instance, this breaking weather template, this anchor hello template, and this breaking news template. I'm going to go ahead and create another one. So I'll navigate to the green circle with a plus sign that says Create Template, and I'll select what kind of story template I want to create. In this case, I'm going to create a new broadcast story template. When I do that, I get that new blank line at the top, and I'll go ahead and name this Tease 1 template. You can fill out any of these fields if you'd like, segment and type, but you don't have to. I'll double click to open up my broadcast story in the story editor, and at the bottom half of my screen where my story is open, I'm just going to go ahead and template this exactly as I would want in my show. So I'll add a couple of production cues here and some black text for my anchor to read. I'm even going to add some Moss objects to this story template. So I've navigated to the Moss button, Moss plugins button at the top of the navigation pane, and I'll select Ross Expression. And in this case, I'm going to just make my OTS and my lower third in advance here, so I don't have to worry about it later. So I'm going to scroll through my available templates in my Expression plugin. I'll drop in some text here and add this to the story, and I'll also find my lower third graphic right here, just to make my life a little bit easier as a producer. So I have my two Moss objects on the right hand side, I have my script on the left hand side with my production cues and my black read text here, and my story template is complete. You would add anything else you would want in this story template so that you wouldn't have to add it every single time. Back in the story browser window, I have the option of adding a hotkey to this story template, just making my life even easier as I'm producing this content. So the options that you see here on a dark gray background, those are hotkeys that are in use elsewhere that we cannot use. I'll go ahead and select the Alt-N hotkey, and now I'm going to open up a rundown. I went to my running order manager and I selected the show I've been working on, and in fact I'm going to put these two screens side by side so it's a little easier to work with. So now I have my rundown on the left hand side and my story browser on the right hand side, and now I'm going to use that hotkey I assigned, Alt-N, in my running order so that I may drop in my Tease 1. I could also opt to drag and drop in between these two windows if I wanted to do that, to add the story template to my rundown. There's no problem with that either. And if you wanted to create a story template using a broadcast story that was already written and already ready to go, you can do the same thing. Here I'm going to grab my first weather slug from my rundown and drag it over to my template section of the story browser. I get that new first weather line here, and this is of course making a copy of that story, so if I make a change to it in the story browser template section, it's not going to change the original story from my rundown. And again, an option here to add a hotkey, or you can simply drag and drop between windows. That was a quick look at story browsers and story templates. If you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to visit the Inception section of the Ross video website. Thanks for watching.